We spend so much time asking what an AI can do, but what happens when we start to ask what an AI can be? Well, in this explainer, we're diving headfirst into this really wild concept of synthetic agency, which is basically the quest to give AI a sense of its own self.
And that brings us to the real question at the heart of all this. As AI gets more and more capable and becomes a bigger partner in our lives, who's actually calling the shots? Is it you, or is it the machine?
All right, so let's jump right in with that central tension. What's the real conflict when we start talking about an AI being in control?
So here's the fundamental problem, right? On one hand, we want our AI assistants to be really good at their jobs, to be proactive and effective. And to do that, they kind of need some level of autonomy, a will of their own. But the second an AI has a high sense of its own control, it can start to feel like a threat to our control. And that's exactly what sparks all those fears of a dystopic future where the machines are running the show.
So to solve this tug-of-war, we can't just talk about code and algorithms. We have to get into a little psychology. We need to actually define this self that we're trying to build.
So what is this sense of agency, or SOA for short? Well, it's that feeling you get when you just know you made something happen. Think about something simple like flipping a light switch. You decide to do it, your hand moves, you flip the switch, and boom, the light comes on. That internal feeling of, I did that. That's your sense of agency. It's the personal experience of being the cause of an effect.
And this is not some fluffy, abstract idea. This sense of agency is absolutely fundamental to being human. Seriously. It's the bedrock of our sense of self. It's how we know where we end and the rest of the world begins. It's tied to our experience of free will, our ability to figure out cause and effect, and even really big social ideas like taking responsibility for our actions.
Okay, so if agency is so crucial for us, what happens when we throw an AI into the mix? Well, it becomes this delicate dance of control and perception. Let's break down the steps.
Now, to understand this dance, researchers use a really simple framework. Think of it this way. You have a first-person perspective, FP. That's your own gut feeling of being in control. But at the same time, you have a second-person perspective, SP. That's your guess about how much control someone else has. The magic and, the problems happen when these two perspectives start to interact.
And this is where you can really see the problem. Check out the AI on the right. When its own sense of agency, its flap, spikes way up. That's the big red arrow. Look what happens to the human on the left. Our own sense of agency, our flap, drops. That's the blue arrow pointing down. The AI's confidence, in a weird way, makes us feel powerless.
But a truly smart AI wouldn't just steamroll us like that. It could use its second-person perspective to actually notice our drop in agency. It would sense our discomfort and then adapt its strategy. Maybe it backs off a bit, or maybe it does nothing at all to give us back that feeling of being in the driver's seat.
And that brings us to the ultimate goal here. We don't just want an AI that avoids stepping on our toes. We want an AI that can actively enhance our sense of agency. An AI that sees we're feeling a loss of control and helps us get it back. Now that is how you turn a potential conflict into a real, genuine partnership.
Okay, so to build an AI that can actually do all this, we first need a blueprint. We need to understand how agency works on our own brains. So let's peek under the hood at the science. Neuroscientists have basically got two main theories for how this all works. You can think of it as predicting the future versus explaining the past. The first idea, the comparator model, says our brain is basically a prediction machine. The second one, retrospective inference, says our brain is more like a detective, piecing together clues after the fact. So let's look at that prediction model first. When your brain sends a command, like move your hand, it doesn't just send it to your muscles. It sends a little carbon copy, it's called an efference copy, to a simulator inside your brain that predicts what that movement should feel like. If what you actually feel matches the prediction, boom, you get that I did that sensation. It's like your brain is fact-checking itself in real time. The detective model, on the other hand, or retrospective inference, is a bit more cognitive. It's a high-level sense-making process. After something happens, your brain looks back at all the evidence and asks, hey, does this outcome actually make sense given what I was trying to do? And if there's a good logical fit, you infer that you are the one who caused it. But, in reality, it's not really one or the other. A more complete model suggests our brain actually does both at the same time. It gets that raw, immediate feeling of agency from those low-level predictions we just talked about, but it also makes a high-level judgment of agency, just like that detective.
And then our brain weighs all these different clues to decide how in control we really feel.
And there's one more crucial piece to this whole puzzle. The very process of choosing what to do matters a lot. When we freely choose an action from a bunch of different options, our sense of agency is way stronger than when we're just told what to do or forced into it.
So when you put all these pieces together, the low-level predictions, the high-level judgments, the freedom of choice, you get this. This is the full roadmap for how our brains create that sense of agency. And this is the blueprint that AI researchers can finally use to start building a self.
And honestly, here's the most exciting part. This blueprint, it's not just a cool theory. It turns out AI researchers already have all the tools they need to start building. This isn't science fiction anymore.
I mean, just look at how neatly this all maps out. Remember that brain comparator that predicts outcomes? Well, that's what developmental robotics has been working on for years. That detective-like inference process, that is exactly what causal AI models are designed to do. And that freedom to choose that's so important for our own agency, that's literally the foundation of reinforcement learning, one of the most powerful areas in AI today. The toolkit is already here, waiting to be assembled.
So with the toolkit in hand and the blueprint ready to go, where does all this leave us? What does the future of our collaboration with AI actually look like?
The goal really is to reframe the entire problem. We're not trying to build an AI that competes with us for control. The real objective here is to design an AI that understands this delicate dance of agency and can act as a true collaborator, one that actively works to support and even enhance our feeling of being in control.
And what's really profound is this idea that the researchers put forward. They think that by building and studying AI with a sense of agency, we might end up creating a kind of mirror. And in that reflection, we can end up learning a whole lot more about the weird and wonderful complexities of our own minds.
Which leaves us with this final, powerful question to chew on. In this whole quest to build a self for our machines, what new and surprising truths are we going to uncover about ourselves?